Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Absolutely WSL and Women's Championship show. My name is Freya, and I'm in the hosting seat for the very first time. But I couldn't do this alone. I've got a lovely team with me tonight who's going to help talk through all of game week 16 and 14 of the WSL and Championship. So, Danny, how are you? How's your week been?
Hello. I'm good. Welcome, new guest host, Fred. Not guest host, new host. You're here. It's lovely to see. Yeah, I almost said guest host because I'm so used to it. But yes, welcome. Glad to be here. Yeah, good week. It's been half term, so it's been one of those crazy ones. But yeah, all good. Happy to be here.
Of course. Yeah, well, really happy to have you with me for the first one. Ant, welcome back. Nice to see you.
No, debut tonight on this.
Oh, of course, yeah. Debut.
I've okayed it with the Championship and the lower league podcast. I'm not cup tied for it, so we're not going to get in any trouble.
Are you sure?
All right.
Who's done the paperwork for that? Can we just
No,
check?
we're okay. We've had the facts. We've done everything. So we're good. We're good. But yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. Yeah.
List. Good.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I'm fine. Another boring, horrible week being a Sunderland supporter. Not. But
we'll come on to it. And finally, we've got Paul with us as well. Paul, how's your week been?
Not too bad. Sky Blues fan, won again. 17 in a row. Unbeaten. Just had to get that one in there.
I thought you were going to say 17-0 there. I was going to say, I think I've missed that one.
I'd have missed that one. I'd have been bouncing off the walls if you know. I'd have been doing like Ant did after that fourth goal on Sunday. I'd have just been running around. We'll get onto that though. I'm looking forward to that. And congratulations on your new gig as well.
Thank you, mate. I really appreciate that. Yeah, so if you did miss that little intro, first evening in the hosting seat, and hopefully I can do everyone proud. We've got a couple of people in the comments already, which is fantastic. Shah, hello. Thank you for joining us. We are all good, and you're definitely our favourite as well. Johnny, hello. Thank you for your congratulations earlier when you sent that through. That was brilliant. We've got Shawnee as well. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. We've got Simon in the chat too. So thank you. And hopefully it can be a really good show for everyone. So everyone keep your fingers crossed. It's going to go smoothly. Of course it will. So let's start with our WSL, shall we? So we've got some scores on the doors there. Just looking at it, I don't think... Well, starting at Chelsea, just kind of a 1-0 and then ending with a 5-2 at Leicester Bristol. I can't wait to talk about these. So I think, Danny, you going to be up first, Chelsea, Man City? What did you make of this one at Kings Meadow?
I mean, what a game to start the weekend this was, wasn't it? Like, I feel like obliged to say under the lights because it feels like every bit of analysis I've seen on this is like, it's under the lights. It's under the lights at Kings Meadow. Friday night under the lights and title race absolutely blown open by this game. And first time Chelsea have lost in over 3 years, I think, in the WSL. And I just thought Man City were fantastic from start to finish. I thought it was a perfect away performance. If you're going to go and do a job on Chelsea, this is exactly the job you've got to do. You know, defensively superb. Attacking wise, they did their bit. They did what they need to do, but I thought they were so disciplined throughout. Their shape was superb. You could tell, I think, that City is starting to come into a period now where it's all paying off. The last couple of seasons, keeping that little bit of continuity over time, that team ethic, and what they've got is such a balance of their team. And I think they've just gone and done a superb job on Chelsea in their own backyard. I thought Chelsea were a little bit bitty, relying on Lauren James to do something. A lot of the time, it felt like there wasn't quite as much fluidity in their team as there was from City. But yeah, City just continuing that run. I think unbeaten since November. They're really coming into form. They're right back level with Chelsea now. Suddenly they're catching up with the Championship in terms of drama because we've got a title race on, and it's brilliant. I love it. Superb performance. I thought Jess Park was really good coming in that role that Jill Roord's left through injury. Weren't really sure what they were going to do in that role. I thought Roord was really good for them and so important to them. But Jess Park has come in and she's staked a claim from the start. She's like, this is my position now. And she set up the goal. She almost set up another one straight after. And I thought throughout she's shown herself to be a really good option in there. She's made that position her own now. And then at the other end, Greenwood, superb. Maybe we'll come on to the penalty shout. I'm not sure. But no, I thought she was solid throughout. I think she got player of the match as well. Really good to see. And yeah, just overall, I thought really, really good performance from City.
Yeah, because did you feel it as well that Chelsea didn't really come alive until like the last 10, 15 minutes where they suddenly a panic of, oh, actually, we could lose this now.
Yeah, it felt almost like they weren't quite sure, like they didn't really understand the stakes at the start. Like it felt a little bit like, oh, you know, we'll get through this like we've done every other game with an individual bit of magic, which they can do. Like against lower teams in the league, against most of the WSL, they can get through by the fact they will be patient. We'll build our play. We'll get there in the end. Lauren James will do something. You know, Ramirez will do something. We'll get a penalty. We'll get another penalty. We'll see. We'll get through it. We'll find a way to win. It suddenly did dawn on them the last 15 minutes or so, 10 minutes or so, that they need a result. And if they get a point, it'll be a good result for them because it will keep them 3 points clear. But I thought through that last 10 minutes, we saw another side of Man City that we haven't really had the chance to see yet. And it's against the top team getting absolutely, you know, battered with chances and stuff. And Kiara Keating again, second weekend in a row. That double save at the end, unbelievable.
Oh, that was it? Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable double save. Just sticking the hand up to deflect it away, that second one. Superb. And I thought they thoroughly deserved it. And yeah, game on. Love it.
Especially after the drama of the reverse fixture as well. It was kind of, oh, is anyone going to get sent off tonight?
Yes.
And but I think that emotion kind of came into fruition at the end. Did you see Lauren James kind of smack the ball away as soon as the final whistle went? And you just think that's what it means. Like they've realised, we've literally dropped the ball here. We've seen it come down to one game, haven't we? Previously. Yeah, and City as well. This what it meant to them, that how big it was to them, that all like how they reacted to it. I think the trouble for them might be, I mean, it's probably good in a way that they've got breaks. As the trouble for them might be that they've now reached that pinnacle. They've beaten Chelsea, they've beaten the top boss. Now they've got to go again and just keep on ticking over against the other teams because they've still got to be pretty perfect from now until the end of the season if they're going to win the title. So that's the challenge for them. They might have liked another game this weekend just to keep it going, but maybe this break's going to be good for them. Probably good for Chelsea as well, and a great place to have the international break now for what's going to happen in the rest of the season. Really good to kind of build up that tension for the next couple of weeks. Absolutely, and like you said earlier, it's bringing that drama that the WSL was missing. It's all been in the Championship so far. Absolutely, thank you very much. And then I think Paul, we've gone to you next. So we had Arsenal Man United 3-1 for this one at the Emirates. Sold out crowd. I think it was 60,000. Was it 160 or something like that? Paul, what did you make of that one?
Well, Skinner ball delivered again. Just Arsenal blew Manchester United away in the first half. They just didn't turn up, and it was interesting as well. The thing that really stood out for me, and people who listen regularly will know, I am less of a fan of Leslie Russo than perhaps most of the English women's football. And it was interesting. She started on the bench. Jonas Eideveld kind of adjusted his front three, brought in Chloe Lacasse as well. And it really worked. Like they were just irresistible at times, Arsenal. And some people think on the internet, some of Arsenal fan Twitter think I'm biased against them because I have been critical of them in the past, but I can honestly find nothing to criticise about Arsenal because, you know, admittedly, Man United didn't really turn up, and again, you've got to look at the preparation, you've got to look at the players behind the bench, and I know a lot of Manchester United fans were outraged at Skinner's work, and they all reckon it's Martin Ho, who's now managing Brann in Norway and doing fantastically with them, who's their assistant coach, who's responsible for all of this, and it's really showing. But the way Arsenal played, just absolutely superb. There you go. See the hashtag Skinner out. I was wondering how long that'd take. But I'm more convinced Arsenal look better up front with Stina Blackstenius as that kind of spearhead, and then two wingers playing off her, Lacasse and Beth Mead, or whoever you want to put on the other side. And if any game showed it, this did, because Gemma Evans, bless her, there was controversy over her signing for Manchester United at the beginning of the season anyway, because she signed on a free from Reading, and all three teams she's played for in the WSL have been relegated. She got absolutely torched. You know, she was had on toast by both wingers. They just kept switching back and forth. I genuinely felt sorry for her. And it was a foregone conclusion by half time. Lucia Garcia made the score look vaguely respectable in the second half, but I think Arsenal needed that, particularly with the result Chelsea-Man City. I think if Man United had won that or even drawn that, that was Arsenal out of the title race, and you could see it in front of a sold-out Emirates crowd. They went to another level, and they sent a very strong message to Man City and Chelsea. Hey, we're not out of this yet.
Statement of intent, wasn't it?
Very
Real
much so.
Statement of intent, blowing Manchester United out the way. It's good to see that there's a title race, isn't it? Because it gets boring every season watching Chelsea win the league. So,
yeah, especially after Friday night as well. The fact that game came after the Chelsea game, it's suddenly like Arsenal fans knew that this was the chance to close in again. It's probably the last chance they're going to get to close the gap on Chelsea. So it added to the atmosphere, I thought, as well, and added to the way they played on Saturday.
It really did, and just you can't really say much more. I mean, there's other discussions to have about certain Arsenal players that we've talked about and the way they're perceived compared to other players, but that'll all come later on. I think game-wise, it was fantastic.
Yeah. And kind of briefly, just on that, kind of, what did you reckon about Katie McCabe being able to get away with pushing Tooney over and not get anything for it? Because that was a blatant get off the ball, get out of the way, but you're going down.
I mean, Katie McCabe is a shithouse in the nicest possible way. That's what she does, But also, I think and I'm going to talk about men's football. I know we're not really allowed to cross the streams, but a thing that I saw that was interesting, Sean Dyche was talking about how the Premier League media are now almost rewarding cheating in the way they talk about a lot of stuff, because obviously there was a situation with Ivan Toney a few weeks ago where he moves the ball to take a free kick, scored from it, and all the pundits afterwards were, well, that's just great, that's just intelligent play, all this sort of thing. And Sean Dyche was like, we can't start doing that, that's cheating. If we're glorifying this, what message are we sending? And I almost think Katie McCabe is that in women's football, because whenever she does stuff like that, we're just like, oh, it's just Katie, it's what she does. But any other player does that. I remember the way, put it this way, if that's Ella Toon on Katie McCabe, then the same people praising her are screaming for a red card. There goes the shirt.
After
10 minutes this time round.
If you had 10 minutes on the bingo cards.
But yeah, and there's a lot more, I think, to discuss about the way Kate McCabe gets represented. But I think that most of the players in that situation would have got certainly certain other England players would have got a very different reaction. And I think that's a problem that is now getting beyond a joke.
You just want consistency, don't you? And I know we've talked about it every single week, it seems like. And again, there's some issues a bit later on, especially in the, I think it was the Brighton-Liverpool match that we'll talk about in a second as well. But yeah, it's just that consistency, those standards, kind of what are we holding everyone to? And are those people then accountable for these massive decisions and how it impacts the league? Absolutely. What did you think when Jace came off for Rachel Williams, kind of Skinner's trump card again?
It's basically his plan B, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not working. Rachel Williams, come on in.
He could be on the sinking ship, and he'd use Rachel Williams to plug the hole. Like, genuinely, that's the level we're talking about with him, and he's got nothing else. Genuinely, I've said before, Rachel Williams Mark owes Rachel Williams half his salary, but I think now it might be about 75% of it. And it's almost become beyond a joke. That's his only backup plan. And, you see what happens when it doesn't work.
Yeah, because it felt like the tactics just clearly weren't working. But then those last 10, 15 minutes, it felt like there was a shift. And then the players were like, right, we're taking it into our own hands now. And did you feel that?
I think they've tuned him out. I think he's lost the dressing room. To use the old football cliche. there was a clip from the Man United Chelsea game of Katie Zalen that was going around a lot from on the subs bench or taking a throw in or something. And Mark Skinner comes up and obviously is doing some sort of tactical instruction. And normally you just see a player go, yeah, right, got it. And then you'll carry on. But Zalen's body language was almost, mate, what are you talking about? Can you not see what's happening? And then Skinner kind of comes back and gives it the full mouth and, and you just look at it and go, that's not a manager who should be at any team, never mind a top team. What basically now at this point, he needs to refuse to shake a player's hand when he substitutes them. That appears to be the way you get.
That's not talk. Yeah.
That appears to be the way you get questionable managers sacked. But every single week there's more and more red flags, and the media defend him because there was the thing where Anita Asante wrote an article that was very clearly meant to defend him, which is fair enough. When you bear in mind Anita Asante is best mates with Laura Bassett, who happens to be Mark Skinner's partner, you see all the incestuousness, and it's like at some point someone needs to turn around, and maybe James Radcliffe will do that. Maybe the new Man United owners will do that and just say, listen, we need someone who knows what they're doing because this guy doesn't.
Mm-hmm. There's no chance he's in a job next season, man. Absolutely no chance. The Glazers will probably just let him stew and let him just do what he wanted, but there is absolutely no hope. Because I've never known fans be so against somebody. Well, I have, but but it's gone so toxic, hasn't it? For fans, even when we were kind of well, it was still no. We don't want this lad in. So I can't see him being in charge next season at all.
No, and if he is, then that will be another question. It's like, okay, well, what's gone on to keep him in that role? So we'll keep our eyes peeled on that one. Perfect. Anything else on that one from anyone?
Not that I'll get away with saying.
Great to see the Emirates full, though, wasn't it? 60,000 fans there. That was class.
Yes,
absolutely
being able
class.
to do that and quietened everyone that says no one watches women's football. It's kind of
exactly. Yeah.
Did you see the fan walk as well? There was a clip of the Arsenal supporters club doing a fan walk, and funnily enough, the reason I saw it was because you get one of these football lad banter accounts basically trying to take the mickey out of it, and it's like, no, this is the culture that if that was a men's team, you'd be absolutely losing your minds over it, and great support, and looking at German teams, looking at French teams, looking at all that sort of thing. So looking at Arsenal Twitter, there are issues within their supporters club with certain people, and it's divided a bit. But when you see that, you think they're doing something right, clearly.
Mm.
Yeah, they got that following. It's a bit like, I don't know if you've seen the Netherlands, they take that orange bus with them all around to all their matches. And we, for the Euros, me and my wife joined in. We're like, we're Dutch for the night. And you feel like you're so part of this brilliant atmosphere. You want to dance, you want to sing, you want to get involved. And it just brings that extra level, doesn't it? So, yeah, I'm all for that. Let's get more fan walks involved, I think.
There's another discussion.
Oh, Paul?
The Coventry internet strikes again.
There we go.
There he is.
Sorry about that. Yeah, that was me being censored because I was about to talk about FA comments. There's been comments this week about the away ends and stuff, and fan culture in women's football again. And maybe that's something to discuss a little bit later on. Because if I start now, we'll never get to anything else.
Yeah, we can definitely put a pin in that because it is a massive one about how people experience the game. So yes, absolutely. We'll keep an eye on that one, Paul. So back to our results. Paul, I think I've got you up next as well, haven't I? So this was Brighton 0, Liverpool 1. And again, a massive 3 points for Liverpool, but for Brighton, where they are, they couldn't have really afforded to lose this one, could they? No,
it's something you look at and go, the actual goal was an error by Sophie Baggerly as well. The kind of goalkeeping error that certain Twitter accounts love to have a go at women's football, but it was a well taken finish. You know, they hit the bar as well, so it was a big win for Liverpool. I've been really impressed with Liverpool this year. They've really there's something I saw Tom Gary post something like there has been a 33-point swing in the gap between Liverpool and Man United. And now Liverpool are only, 3 points behind them? And they were something like 30 points behind last season. And just the work Matt Beard does. He's lovely, Matt Beard, because he looks like the kind of person who should be, you know, waving a St. George's cross outside a pub. You know, he looks like a proper bruiser, but he's a really, you know, empathetic bloke. He's the kind of manager that women's football, you know, a template almost for male managers in women's football with the work he's done. Because I've spoken to a few players when I spoke to the players at Coventry who played under him, and they never had a bad word to say about him. You know, they say they loved their time there. And you can see it in the work he's doing with Liverpool. He always bigs up his players. He always credits the opposition wherever he can. And he just seems a really good fit for that club. And the way Liverpool are going, I hesitate to say that they could break into the top four because we've seen we saw what happened with Villa when everyone said they were going to break into the top four this season.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Don't want to raise expectations too high, but you know, if you're a Liverpool fan, you've got to be excited at the moment.
Yeah, if they can finish above United, that's a massive blow to them, isn't it? As well, that's a huge sort of statement from them.
And it's just, but I'm trying not to get myself in trouble because we were talking about different treatment of players, and there was video going around afterwards that I may or may not have shared. Not that I'm a bit of a controversy hound or anything.
How long have I known you now, Paul? 2 or 3 years. Yeah. I don't know. That's a complete not a lie.
It's you know, I've just got no filter. It's just like, right, okay, we'll fire that off. But yeah, just Poppy Pattinson getting tangled up with Sophie Roman Haug in the corner.
Yeah.
And
yes,
if you're being charitable, she's trying to get out of that tangle and accidentally steps on Sophie Roman Haug. But we've all played football, we've all seen football, we've all played other sports, and you know when someone's trying to stick one on, as it were. That looked to me like she was trying to stick one on because it was right on the thigh, right. And you know, you look at it and go, if that goes wrong, that's a career ender because that sends Sophie Roman Haug's knee the wrong way. And just nobody mentioned it, and it was just interesting because I think of the comments about Lauren James doing something nowhere near as bad as that. And it's like Lotte Wubben-Moy obviously still hasn't been banned, but in fairness to the FA, apparently the review process is only for off the ball incidents.
Yes.
So that's why maybe Lotte Wubben-Moy has got away with a Superman punch to Khadija Shaw. But if that doesn't get reviewed, something's very wrong, because you know that I don't want to accuse Poppy Pattinson of being malicious. I mean, it was quite funny. I had who I assume was her dad turn up on Twitter. Keith go, oh, you know that happens in football all the time, and it's like, yeah, you've got the same surname. Are you a dad or a brother or whatever else?
Yeah, that doesn't happen all the time in football, though. I'm not having that. It's a stamp, isn't it? She knows what she's doing there. And I like Poppy Pattinson a lot. You know, she's from Aviv as well. She's Sunderland, but like, it's an absolute. It is a red card. If the referee sees that, it's a red card. Then I think just none of them see it, do they? But there's no way that's going to get. You know, that's got to be a 3-match ban, hasn't it? Because it's violent conduct at the end of the day.
I mean, cynically. We've already seen Katie McCabe forearm smash Frank Kirby in the face off the ball and get away with it as well earlier on in the season.
And that's the thing. And we always talk about Rhea Shirley getting a ban, Kirsty Hansen getting a ban, Martina Biamonte getting a ban. Like, there are so many bans being handed out, so they can do it. They do, retrospectively do it. And you can almost like split screen that with the Lauren James from the World Cup.
Mm.
That kind
it's
of
exactly the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
They both know what they're doing.
Yes.
It's interesting we haven't had any think pieces about it.
No.
And again, if Lauren James does that, you get all sorts of discussion of, oh, it's her attitude again. It's her frustration getting the better of her. And she had the right to against Man City because Leah Alexandri had Lauren James in her pocket. But she managed to, keep calm and do it. And it's just something doesn't sit right with me that it's only Lauren James that gets that amount of stick. Something's really off.
Yeah, and it's certain players who were targeted and certain players who were, it's just them. It's just, and it happens in life as well, doesn't it? Some people are allowed to get away with things because, that's just them. That's just the way they are. It's like, well, no, you need to call it out. Like, you can't get away with that. But again, I think that's a whole different podcast we can definitely get into at another point. Maybe in the summer when the games are off, we can have a really good debate about that. But yeah, there's definitely some players who can get away with more, it seems, and it's not fair, and they need calling out. So hopefully we are doing our job by bringing that to the fore. Now, the refereeing in that match ball, there was a change in ref, wasn't it, halfway through? I think the initial ref, I can't remember her name, so I do apologise. I think she had an injury, so they had to swap, and then we all know who came on, and suddenly cards galore. And ending up with Carrie Holland getting a red for a second yellow and being sent off. So it wasn't, apart from the incident we've just talked about, it wasn't that dirty of a game. Like, do you think the person had an impact on the cards?
It was Phoebe Cross, apparently the first referee, because I remember it being
Thank you.
mentioned. And it was, I love how you didn't mention who came on because it was like name association. Emily Heaslip, bless her, has got a bit of stick from social media in general, and we don't want to go after referees. We don't want to have a go. I think she just has a very, very, her style is a very, very, I'm going to set boundaries early. I'm going to be strict. I'm going to put cards out. And once you've started doing that, you have to set the line, really, don't you? In the men's game, you've never really, if a referee comes up and does that and sets boundaries, like Pierluigi Collina, obviously, is the big one for me. Who I remember, the Italian one, who always used to come out and early on just bang, yellow card, and a very clear, you do that again and you're off. And it seemed to work, but it's almost as if Emily Heaslip does that and then feels like she needs to keep doing it to keep the game under control. And I think the criticism of her or the criticism of referees missing offences, she might be seeing it and going, right, I've got to go the other way. I'm going to be the disciplinarian. And then you see cards and free kicks and you see stuff handed out. And you go, And again, it's subjectiveness and it's different people's standards with refereeing, because there are some referees in the WSL, mentioning no name, Cheryl Foster, who let absolutely everything go, and people kind of let that go and go, oh, she's a player, she knows what it's like. It's like, yeah, she's a player, so she's often too lenient. And I think Emily Heaslip is kind of that, I'm going to keep everything under control. But like you say, that was the first game where it was that striking, because it was a completely different style of refereeing in the first half and the second half. And it's like, officials must talk to each other. And it's kind of like, you need to be consistent throughout the 90 minutes. And if Phoebe Cross has said, I've been letting most things go, just...
Yeah, keep the flow of the game.
Keep the flow of the game.
Yeah.
And then Emily Heaslip has come on, handing out cards like she's on commission, then you need to question that, really. But It's hard to go after referees. You know, I'm always reluctant to go after referees too much unless there's absolute blatant missing things, like, I don't know, a stamp in the corner, for example, right in front of the linesman. But
yeah, because you'd hope as well, like the linesman maybe would have spotted it or been in a better position, or because there were quite a few players in that corner, weren't there? So yeah, you would have hoped someone would have gone, oi, look, or even have looked back. So yeah, so again, it goes back to that standardization, doesn't it? And we just want the best for the game. And I think until that can be across the board, then how are we going to keep improving? Because it's just going to keep coming back to these decisions and people going, well, actually, is the game ready yet for these improvements if I can't get the basics right? So yeah, so that was it was a shame. It really was, because you just see Kerry Holland's face and it's just like, what? But why have I just been sent off? But yeah, they managed. They got the 3 points, and again, like we said with Liverpool, they're in a really good position. I've been really impressed with them this season. And now we're going to talk about Everton West Ham, and I think I give myself this one. So yay! Now with this one, I went into it thinking the form West Ham are on, I think it might be a bit tight, but I think West Ham are going to do it. And I certainly didn't think at the 82nd minute that it could end 2-0. It looked like it was going to be goalless. There wasn't much in it at all. I was looking at the stats. I think they shared possession. They'd shared the same amount of fouls. Like, everything was spot on all the way through. West Ham had a few good chances. I think Uweki just went past the post in the first half. But again, like, nothing. There were no shots to really trouble either goalkeeper. So I remember trying to watch about 4 or 5 matches at once. So I think it was all kicking off around the same time as the Sunderland game and everything. And I was like, how can I concentrate on all of these? And Everton going into it have lost their last 4. Again, go back to that form. They just haven't been able to make the most of their chances has been their key issue. SC had the ball in the back of the net, but was ruled for offside. And I just think it just really wasn't West Ham's day at all. Just couldn't seem to make anything of the chances. And then the Italian duo of the league, up steps Yaya and Martina Piemonte. And I think the goals were within 2-3 minutes of each other, and they got the assist for each other, so it just swapped round, which I thought was beautifully poetic, the fact that they could do it. So yeah, that 3 points was just brilliant for them, and quite a shock to West Ham that they're now still second off bottom. So again, it's that relegation fight, probably right to the end of the season, I think. But the horrendous news for that one, did everyone see what happened to Ollison right at the end?
Yeah.
And
it wasn't as bad as they first thought, wasn't it? But it looked horrific at the first, didn't it?
Yeah, because they thought it was a broken leg at one point, because I think it was Gori came in for a late challenge, just completely took her legs out from under her. And you heard our reaction, and it was heartbreaking. It really, really was. So they thought it was a broken leg, but actually, and keeper's right, Paul, the muscle has detached from the bone, I think, which sounds even more horrendous to me, to be honest. She's going to be out on the sidelines for a while. So our hearts do go out to Carol for that one. But yeah,
she had to have stitches in her quad, didn't she? Which that's to put it back onto the bone. She's going to be out a hell of a long time. That's a good few months. That definitely to get that muscle healed, because obviously your quad's one of your most important muscles in your leg. It's like the one just above the knee, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Is it as bad as an ACL, do you think? Because I was reading up, and your quad just literally means you can move. It, like you say, it's the most important movement in your leg. It helps you walk, run, do whatever. So if she has torn it off, then that, we hate those hereditary letters, but a torn quad is.
It'll be a 9-monther, definitely. If it is that, 100%, it's a really, really bad injury. Fingers crossed. They did say it wasn't as bad, so if it isn't, then but you're still looking at that's a season, I would imagine. Bless her, but It wasn't a great. It did not look great, did it? It was really sad. And the horrible thing about that, when you're at grounds where there's not that many people there, you can hear the screams, can't you? And it is absolutely horrendous. You know, it's really not nice to hear that.
Nah, not at all. And yeah, just hello, Spenny fan Chris. Good evening. Yeah, Rules Talks Balls just said that the injury they thought was more significant than ACL, which says an awful lot in itself. And you're absolutely right. There's a epidemic almost. Well, not almost. There is within the women's game at the minute, and it just shows that they've increased. The amount of minutes. I think the Beth and Viv documentary was saying what they've gone from 2,000 minutes to 4,000 minutes or something like that in such a short space of time. And it's, again, you want to grow the women's game, but you need to do it the right way. You can't just expect them to play the same as the men that have been doing it.
Yeah.
Since they've been 5.
I think that's a manager problem. And again, Mark Skinner doesn't do it. Jonas Eideveld is very good at doing it. Emma Hayes is good at doing it. Gareth Taylor's pretty good at doing it. Rotating players and managing those minutes. But Everton can't really do that because they haven't got, the same level of squad. And this is where you go back to, you maybe need to almost force parity and bring in a situation where all clubs can afford to have a squad of 25 very good players that they're confident rotating and bringing in. And then you get into the discussion we had last week about wage caps and squad limits and all sorts of stuff. So, but
yeah, it's hard, especially when you've got teams like Villa, who we'll talk about next, who literally have about 3 people, and one of them's the kit man on the bench. So it's it's hard, to be honest, in that situation. But yeah, a massive 3 points for Everton. And just it'll be interesting to see West Ham, because I was reading some of the match reports, and Rhian Skinner was saying it wasn't. We just didn't turn up. Essentially, we just couldn't make the most of our chances. It just wasn't flowing, and we just couldn't. It was a really, really frustrating game, and you could sense it throughout. So, well done to Everton for getting those 3 points. I've set this up so well, giving people blocks to talk about. So the next one, Villa 1-2-1. Finally, we've got another 3 points on the board. Now, going into this one, I don't know about anyone else, but considering Spurs and just how their season's gone in general, I didn't think we'd win. I thought we might get a point going into it. But yeah, I just thought the game overall, I think that's probably the best Villa's played in probably a very long time. And it also shows how Villa aren't so reliant on Rachel Daly as well. That there's other goal scorers in the team, and maybe it was a blessing in disguise that they could have their chance to shine and a chance to try new connections, different things, and it just worked. And we saw Jordan Nobbs her strike was just prime Jordan Nobbs, I think. So proper reflecting back to our Arsenal days, and you just think that's why we signed her. That's that glimmering moment of how amazing she is, and to be in that team and just get the chance to come forward and make something. And talking about kind of fan participation and stuff, I know the Villa fan club have got the horns. So if you ever watch a match and you can hear the horns, that's the fan club. And it just brings it alive, doesn't it? And like we were talking about the fans earlier, to sit together and create that atmosphere, you don't feel isolated, and you feel like even if you've gone to a match by yourself, you are surrounded by kind of your football family, which is a really nice thing to think about. But I was just so impressed with how they turned up. And you think when James Turner equalised from that set piece, you thought, right, is this how Villa's day is going to be? That they're going to give away set piece opportunities like that. But thinking about who we did have on the bench and who actually started. Kenza didn't come on, I think, until about the 60th, 70th minute. So to actually not have Kenza Dali in the starting lineup was really interesting. And I don't know, you were watching it and you got excited. And I think, and we've talked about that with Sunderland the other day, didn't we? Like, you watch it and every time they get the ball, you think, can you make something of it? Can you do it? Can you, are you going to make something of it? But yeah, Adriana Leon just finally getting more praise, the goal she deserves, because we've all been waiting for it for a very long time. So yeah, absolutely buzzing with those 3 points. And again, it saves us hopefully, and maybe stay in that bottom to mid bit of the table, so it's safe. I think that's all we can ask for after the previous run of games.
Is that Villa safe now, Freya? Do you think that it's 7 points, isn't it? It's a long gap now.
Yeah, well, I think if we just have a quick look, so yeah, 16 points, 11, 6
points. Yeah.
I hope so. I really hope so.
It's
Unless
done.
something horrendous happens, I think I really hope so. With that one, but yeah, it was just so nice to celebrate a win. And Holty in the chat there, Jordan's shot off the crossbar, yes, it could have been 3-1. And yeah, there was so many more chances, and said it from the beginning of the season, more clinical, and I think lots more teams can do that as well, but especially Villa from that. So the fact that they could convert those chances, and it was just like, yes, finally, 1-1 to celebrate. Brilliant. Okay. So finally, we get on to Leicester Bristol. 5-2. I don't, again, like we said at the start, I don't think anyone predicted the 5-2 thriller. Danny, what did you make of this one?
Boring old time, wasn't it? Lovely. What a strange game, because Leicester were absolutely pummeling Bristol City. Completely against the run of play. Bristol City go the other end and score. Fia Morgan, after Kops just hit it straight to another one, like Paul was talking about earlier, that people will bring up when they talk about goalkeepers. But lovely finish from Morgan. And it just had all been Leicester up until that point. And you just think, oh, are Bristol City going to come away with something? They're going to nick something? Because all season we've said the same thing. They're so gutsy. They've got such fight in them that they can pick up a point and 3 points here and there. And against the Leicester side, you're not too sure about still. They could potentially get something. But Leicester come back into it. And it's all about the two Japanese internationals, Mamiki and Takarada, who have come in January and just been fantastic for them. They've stabilised that midfield. They've given them a real sense of control in the midfield. Mamiki's scored for 1-1. Takarada's then made it 2-1. They've turned the game around before half-time. You think, they've got control of the game now. They're going to go on and win it comfortably. But then just after half-time, Tesrup does what she's been doing. I captained her in my fantasy team this week as well, which I went out completely on a punt. And I was like watching this game thinking, what have I done when Leicester were pummeling them? And I thought, the other two games have got the top four against each other. So I thought, let's take a wild punt. And she's scored. She's made it 2-2. Lovely stuff. But then Leicester finally got control of the game. Cayman scores a nice goal for 3-2. And then one of the goals of the weekend, I don't know if you've seen it, Rantilla's goal into the top corner, absolute screamer. And I think when that fourth goal goes in, you think, that is game over. Poor old Bristol City are licking their wounds. They've really given it a go again. But not to be for them. It's the type of game they'll probably look at and think, could we have got something from it? But yeah, again, not to be. And I do want to mention at the end, the fifth goal for Leicester again, 16-year-old Denny Draper coming off the bench to score a first ever professional goal. What a moment for her, especially at the King Power as well, to come off the bench and to do that and to seal that win in that way is a brilliant moment for her. And for Bristol City, unfortunately, it's just looking like they're doomed, doesn't it? I just don't think they've got enough. They've not quite got enough. Such good performances. They're really fighting for it. I don't think the manager should be in any kind of trouble at all, because she's really created a culture around that side, and she's the person that can bring them back. They're just not quite there yet, but I really want to see them back, because it's just the collective is really key for them. And I want to see them back as soon as we can, because they've brought a lot to the league, and a lot of they haven't just gone down without a fight, and they're really giving it everything.
Yeah, I was just about to say, they've fought for every point, haven't they? Like every match they've come out and had that belief that they could do it, because coming up in that position, now we know how hard it is, especially coming into a WSL that is so different at the top than at the bottom. So the fact that they've, got, let's take it back to the table. Oh, not that one.
The 6 points so far.
Yeah, so 6 points, but they've still been picking up points. They've still been able to do that, and that's down to, like you said, about that.
Is that table wrong? and City on 34. Oh,
City
am
on
I wrong?
34,
No, I
yeah.
think you're right. Hang on.
Yeah, City level on 34, yeah.
Yeah, because Chris picked that up as well. Thank you very much, Penny Fan Chris. Let's have a look. Yeah, so that should say, we'll get it up. Yeah, so Chelsea and Man City should both be on 34 points, with Arsenal on 31.
Yeah.
With that one. Yeah, so we do apologize. Man City should be 34, which again makes it so incredibly close at the top. So yeah, Simon, thank you very much for confirming that for us. But yeah, it's so looking at that table then. So we said Villa hopefully safe. Leicester again have done enough. Quietly going about their business, Leicester, I think. Everton even pulling away slightly. So do we think either West Ham or Brighton could get pulled into that relegation as well? Or do we think it's probably...
Yeah, I just can't see it now. I just don't think there's quite enough. I think Brighton would be in massive trouble if it wasn't for Bristol City. I think West Ham will have enough. The signings they've made in January, I think they'll pull away a little bit. If Bristol City can win one, like in the next couple of game weeks, to make it interesting, maybe. But from what I've seen of Bristol City, I just think they're not quite there. You can see Brighton picking up a point here and there.
Next game, Danny, Bristol City, Brighton.
Oh, there you go. That's their chance then, isn't it? That's the big one.
The bother is with City though as well at the bottom. They've only got 6 points so far, and there's only 8 games left. So they need to get another 8, 9. You would say, to really give themselves a chance. I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest. But it is a shame. I'm with you. I think they've done so well. I mean, yeah, I do kind of. I fear for whoever does go up, and I know we're going to get into who goes up, because Bristol City were bloody amazing last season in the Championship. And they only ended up winning by 3 points, but it was won by February. They were just out and away the best team in the league. But it is what it is, isn't it? Playing catch up.
There's your problem, though. Rosa says that with the difference in squad value. Again, it's money.
Yeah.
It's the shit. Yeah. And this is where I think Nuco coming in, if they're serious about growing the product as a whole, with Nikki Doucet being American, or is she Canadian? She's definitely closely linked with like American sport. I almost think there's a chance here for Nuco to almost take the American model and go, right, okay, we're gonna grow sustainably, rather than allowing teams like all the teams with the big money to just run away with it, so that teams like Bristol City, when they come up, can have a chance to stay up. And we're not just seeing every single season the teams that come up from the Championship going straight back down again.
Yeah, you want to give them a chance to actually stay and earn their place, because they've clearly earned it from being best in the Championship. But there needs to be that, not safety net, but there needs to be something else in place to just give them a fighting chance. Absolutely agree with that. So we shall keep an eye on Nuco and see exactly what their plans are, and hopefully they'll be able to solve something with that. So that is our WSL, and then we go on to our Women's Championship.
The proper league, the proper football league.
All the exciting stuff's happening. Now, in the Championship this weekend, we only had 4 matches. One being postponed, which was Charlton Reading. But the most exciting, of course, came in the form of Sunderland Lewis. And we've got the lovely Ant to help us talk about that one. So, and 4-3 emotions during that match completely changed minute by minute.
Oh yeah, I mean, this year being a Sunderland supporter is a roller coaster. That game was mental. It was just such a mental game. Obviously, Lewis at bottom of the table, and I like Lewis as a football club. I think they're just so well run, such a lovely club as well. But it's not going well for them at the minute, and but they've been picking up points, so like, and they've obviously made some good signings as well in January. Thought it's not going to be easy. This I thought we'd win, but I didn't think it would be 4-3. I certainly didn't think it would be in the manner that it was won. But they took the lead early on through an Amy Goddard on goal, and we've just at how the Lasses have just made a flag for Amy Goddard, so that went down well, and it was right in front of the bloody flag when but never mind. But we equalised pretty much straight away with Emily Scar scoring from a Tash Fenton free kick. And then literally about 5 minutes after that, carbon copy of the first goal, Tash Fenton with another, missile free kick. Brianna Westropp gets ahead to it. 2-1, you think, right, we'll go on and win this quite comfortably because we were playing well. And then they get a penalty. I don't know if it's a penalty or not. I think it's probably a foul. But I think it's handball from the Lewis attacker before she gets brought down. So I don't know. But the referee, we just talk about refereeing. The referee was abysmal, and I really don't care if we do get wrong for that. She was absolutely shocking. Just given really silly foul, like stopping the game all the time. Just let the game let it like flow. One of our lasses, Gracie, got a yellow card for getting the ball, and then one of their lasses takes Amy Goddard out in the second half. I think it's a red card. She didn't get booked. We only get a free kick for it. It was a strain, and then she started the whole. I mean, because Lewis went in front through Rihanna Blade's really good goal. To be fair to her, puts it right in the corner, and then they start the gamesmanship and stuff, and going down for no reason, and having cramp. I can do that with the inverted commas now. Freya tried to do that one, didn't I? It was a radio show. So we're going down with cramp, making subs where the players were taking like half a week to get off. Yes, we were good, Spenny fan, Chris. We were fantastic there. Yeah. And then it looks as if it's all over, to be honest. And we're all like, obviously, we were standing behind the goal, and we were like, this might be it. For the promotion charge, because I didn't think we would get as lucky with other results as what we did against Reading. And then Jenna Dia got angry. I think basically she gets booked in stoppage time for I don't know why. Just the referee got a card out and booked her. I assume she said something, and I think that just got her angry, to be honest, because we get the ball on the corner, and Katie Watson pulls it back for Jess Brown, and it was she was fantastic as well. Jess Brown that game pulled it back. And there's Jenna Dia right on the edge of the box, smashed right in the top of the net. We're all elated behind the goal. And then literally from the kickoff, Lewis try and go forward. We break away. They leave Katie Watson with all of Appleton to run into. Now, if anyone's seen Katie Watson play, she makes Roadrunner look slow. She is so quick, and she just broke through. Pulls it back. There's Jenna Dia again. Right in the bottom corner, absolute mayhem behind the goal. I go off running somewhere.
Was it something like this? Hang on.
I am the one in the blue. The one in the blue.
There he goes.
I don't know. The thing is with that, I don't know what came over us. I did it last season as well when we beat Durham, and it was pretty much in the same circumstance. We scored in stoppage time. It was Katie Watson, and I went running down the line then. But I was on the other side of the pitch, so it wasn't caught on the camera. But I literally didn't know what came over us. It was just jubilation from literally saying, we're done. Like, the promotion charge is probably over too. We're top league now. Was just class. And I love the fact it was Jenna Day that did it, because she's had a little bit of time out, obviously. She got suspended, and then Katie Kitchen, who's on international duty, she's being unbelievable in that 10 role. So they moved it around. They put Molly Rouse there, and then Jenna Dia came back in. But it was great to see her get a couple of goals, because she scored 3 goals this season. All 3's been against Lewis. So fair play to her. But it was just absolute, even after the game, just so much, everyone smiling, and the atmosphere on Sunday was unbelievable. There was only 400 and odd people there, but it felt like there was 40,000 when that last goal went in. The roar was unbelievable. So happy. And like I said, on my Facebook, there's only football that can get you like that, isn't there? Because I had a bad week last week, a really shitty week, and that was just that. like their second goal was worth going through all that crap that you go through in your life and all that stuff just for that one moment of jubilation, and that's what makes it worth it, isn't it? And so yeah, it was class, absolutely unbelievable. Really enjoyed it, and yeah, we're top of the league, so there we go.
Yeah. That's the sort of thing as well that when you're going for promotion, that's the kind of moment that you kind of look at and think that's huge. Like no matter who it's against, playing top, bottom of the league, whoever, if you get a winner like that and you scored 2 goals in injury time like that, that's the sort of thing that can carry you through the rest of the season. It's give you that belief when games are close, that little bit of like ammunition to push on and real go for the 3 points, because in this title race, in this promotion race, you're going to need every single point you can get.
The thing is as well, because there's so many teams that can go up, because obviously I don't know if Birmingham still got a game in hand, so I still probably count Birmingham amongst the 5, so it's probably the top 5. There are teams aren't going to go like, we're not going to win all 6 games, but neither are the teams below us going to win their remaining games, because there's going to be points just taken off each other. And those kind of moments which we've done it in the last, I think like it's like 2 or 3 times this season, we've scored equalisers or winners in the last minute. So it's just a team that does not give up. And considering this time last year, we would have gone down if it had been 2 going down, because we went on such a horrible run. And considering like the players who have left, obviously we lost like Niamh Heron and went to Birmingham, and we lost our captain. Kay Ramshaw she's had to retire. Emma Kelly ended up going off to them down the road. And considering we didn't know what was going on, to be sat here in, where it'll be in March, when we play again, 6 games left and Sunderland's top of the league, it's absolute madness, you know what I mean? And just goes to show what a great job Mel Ray and Steph and everyone behind the scenes has done to bring these players in. But then also those players on the pitch, I've never seen a more united squad than what they are. They all play for each other. You can see them off the pitch as well. They all like really get on. They went on like a team bonding thing up at Whitby, like a camping trip and stuff. And you just saw from then on, they will literally run through walls for each other, and that'll get them. If it doesn't happen this year, fair play, but they'll get there eventually. That kind of little bit of togetherness, it goes such a long way, considering we're the only team who's not fully professional in that top 5 and we're top. So there we go. You know what I mean?
No, it was that euphoria. And I think because it was being streamed live on YouTube as well, there was no commentary, there was no nothing. So you could pick up every single word and cheer. And yeah, when that 4th goal went in, it was mad. It was absolutely mad. So I think, Paul, you were messaging me, weren't you? And you're like, have you seen what is happening in this match? Like, what is going on? Because minute on minute, you just didn't know. And I think that's the brilliant thing, because if you're winning 7-0, then it's it gets a bit boring, and it's a bit where's the fun in it? But actually, you want those games where it is toe to toe, it's end to end, and it's that love of it, isn't it? And it's just fantastic. And we do love Lewis here on the Absolute Football Podcast. They're everything kind of. We love that they stand for just everything they've got. So I really hope they do manage to get themselves out.
If they play like that, Freya, if they play like that for the rest of the season, they'll stay up, because they defended, even though they conceded 4 goals. It sounds like really, really like bad point to say, but they defended very, very well in that game. And the goalkeeper, Sophie Whitehouse, made 2 unbelievable saves. One from Jenna D in the first half. I still don't know how she saved it, and they'll be fine. but they'll be fine if they can play like that. And that's the problem is with Lewis at the minute. They seem to be scoring a lot of goals, but they are conceding them, and they're conceding them in the last 5-10 minutes of games. So if they can just get that kind of concentration for 90 minutes and maybe not do the sportsmanship stuff, because there was 7 minutes added on. You know what I mean? If that had been 5 minutes, 4 minutes, we'd have lost that game. You know what I mean? The fact that they were time wasting a little bit, and obviously the way it is now, it all gets added on at the end. And when you've got a part-time team, which Lewis are, up against a hybrid team in Sunderland, but the majority of Sunderland players are professional, and you're coming up against genuine quality like Jenna D and like I mentioned before, Katie Watson, who's an England under-18 international, especially with how quick she is. 97 minutes of football is a long time. So maybe they need to stop doing that and just, try and win the game because they had obviously Rihanna Blades who came on, who's so quick as well. But once they scored that third goal, they went, right, just everyone behind the ball and try and, instead of trying to see the game up, they try to kind of like force the referee into making, they giving away like little free kicks and going down and stuff like that. Where for me, I don't think that's the way to go about it, to be honest.
Yeah, it was like they were just like, yeah, we'll play for a point. Yeah, we'll just we'll settle in.
They were happy with that. And to be fair, it would have been a very good smash and grab had they managed to hold on. But the fact that there was 97 minutes, and the game lasted 97 minutes, so it's a long time for tired legs as well. So you could tell the defenders were all knackered, especially the poor right back. And then obviously she had Katie Watson running at her, which I don't think I would like in the first minute of the 97. So but fair play. I do hope to stay up. They've got some games. They have got some winnable games. So, and also as well, which is what we've seen with Lewis. They're capable of, that they were 2-0 up against Charlton, weren't they, not so long ago? They were 3-2 up against us with minutes to go, and it's taken the Gennady a double to, that won't happen every week. If they can just keep that concentration for 90 minutes against the likes of Durham or Sheffield United, if we've got them to play, bring them teams down towards them, because they're not out of it by any stretch, but they just need to be more focused for 90 minutes of the game. And like I say, hopefully they do, because we're a brilliant club. And I would like to go to the dripping pan next season, to be honest. So, yeah. Well, I'm saying that won't be, though, because we'll be going up. So let's get them in the cup.
And there's those questions about physicality, isn't it? Kind of where you're on the league, where you are, kind of where your club is. Have you got that stamina to sustain those 97-ish minutes? So, yeah, if you can win it in the 90, why prolong it? Absolutely.
Yeah, like I say, especially when, Blades had scored a cracking goal, she caused Grayseed a little bit of trouble, and Grayseed had been booked. So why, I just can't understand why they just didn't go for the fourth. But it is what it is. And the worst thing to do against a Sunderland team with the quality that we've got, because we can unlock defences quite quick, is to sit back. You're more better going at us hammer and tongue, to be fair. But it is what it is. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, and I was just where's it gone in the comments? What do we all think of this one? Rose Talks Balls put, looking at the teams who could come up, looks like only Birmingham City are really sustainable, that others wouldn't cope.
So I disagree with that, to be honest. But I don't think Birmingham will go up. The 5 points off Sunderland now, yes, they have a game in hand, but Birmingham aren't consistent enough to go up. But you look at the likes of Charlton, I think Charlton would be okay in the WSL. I think they've got a very, very good squad at the moment, and they've built their squad for 2 or 3 years. Where they've always been there or thereabouts. Whereas Birmingham, I don't know. Birmingham signed too many players at the start of the season, and then thought in January, when it wasn't going particularly well, but they'd managed to get a few wins on the board. They were going a bit like a freight train. But then they signed loads of players in January again. So it's kind of starting all over again, they don't know what their best 11 is yet, and we're in March. So I can't see them going up, to be honest. And even that, they'll have to probably sign, 8, 9, 10 players just in the WSL. But that means getting rid of, probably as many, and I just don't think that is sustainable, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's a tough one to look through, because especially when you've got the requirements. Actually, Spenny fan Chris has just put a really good one. Would they still be able to play at Eppleton if they went up? Because there's got to be certain ground.
There's got to be certain, hasn't there? I don't think we will be. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We've got a 40,000 seat stadium 20 minutes away. I think we should be all right. But no, I don't think they will. But we'll see what happens. If you gave me next year, because to be honest, I kind of think this season might be a season too far for Sunderland, to be honest, because we would have to literally change the squad again next year. If we went to the WSL, and I just, as much as it'd be bloody brilliant, because it'd be one of them ones where, like Leicester winning the league in the men's game a few years ago, it would be one of them Roy of the Rovers kind of stories. But then you kind of think stability of the club, maybe 2 or 3 years once we get the likes of Katie Watson, who's only 18. Once we get, we've got a lass who plays in 23s called Emily Cassap, who's 16, who's already in England's under-17 international, who was a wonderful footballer. Give them, build them up and then go up properly. But we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? And we'll see what happens. But I'm not worried. If you said to me next year, "Oh, you promote it, but you can't play Appleton," fair enough. We'll get to stay in the light.
We'll make use of that. And also, Lewis's next game are at home to Sheffield United.
How about Lewis? Come on.
I reckon I can have a good shot at that one. Yeah, good old Lewis.
Yes.
Oh, we're all Lewis. Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're going to talk to us about that other team down the road then. So we've got London City versus Durham, and that ended 2-2. Now, considering where both teams are playing at the minute, do you think that was a fair result, a point each, or what do you think?
From looking at kind of the highlights on the FA play, I thought London were a little bit unlucky. They went ahead twice. Durham picked them back. I think it's Amy Andrews' goal is a dreadful mistake by London's defence, and she manages to pop in and score. The bother is with Durham. As much as we all don't particularly care for them in the Championship, just because of the way they play. I mean, they've got the moniker "Dirty Durham" for a reason. They do like to get stuck in, fairly or not is anyone's guess. But Durham at the minute had a big chance of getting promoted a couple of years ago when Liverpool went up, and Durham really went for it. Then they had a very, very good side. Then last year they went professional, and I think that was a little bit too early. I think they probably should have done a hybrid model. And then this year, it just hasn't worked. Whatever they've tried has not worked. They keep on they draw too many games. They have to rely on last minute, which again on Sunday, they had to get a last minute goal from Sarah Mack for an equaliser. But they've also lost probably their biggest talent that they'll have for a long time in Poppy Pritchard. She's gone to Man City. And there's nobody else. Like I watched their feeder club, Durham Sestry, quite a lot, and there's nobody else really ready to make that step up. So next season, Durham will go. What Durham? I'll be worried if I was Durham fan. Is there's a lot of teams now. You look at Sunderland now. Sunderland have probably done the jump on Durham. There's so many good sides in that league. Plus, Newcastle are more than likely going to come up. You'd be worried if some of the younger players maybe get kind of look. I might go to Newcastle here because they'll probably get paid more money. And then Durham have got quite an older squad now. You look at, I mentioned Sarah Robson before. Sarah Wilson's getting on now. Beth Heppel's in the wrong side of her 20s. Becky Saliki's in the wrong side of her 20s. And it's like, how do they replace all of those players at once? So I would fear for Durham in the next couple of years, to be honest. I wouldn't want to see them go down as much as, I'm a Sunderland fan, but I'm a Sunderland fan who lives in Durham. You know what I mean? I really should go and watch Durham, but I'm Sunderland fan. But there's so many times this year where they've had to literally rely on a last minute goal or a last minute equaliser just to get them some points. And to be fair, that on Sunday probably has kind of eluded any of these lingering relegation doubts because they have got quite a hard run in, but I think they've probably got enough points now. But they really need to start picking up wins and sorting themselves out a little bit. Whereas London, luckily, the game was half an hour delayed, so they must have left the hose on again. But they just seem in a really weird situation, don't they? So they've had to take over, but nothing's improved. They've sacked the manager. Yeah, they've got a draw, but they need wins as well because you've got Watford coming. Watford are playing really well now. We've mentioned Lewis, Reading are picking up points, and London are the ones who are probably the ones who have been sucked in. So we'll see what happens with them. But I would have been disappointed if I was a London fan, even though they probably deserved the 3 points, to be honest.
Are there any London fans?
I'm going down there actually, mate. March the 17th. I can't wait. Can't wait to see that stadium. Yeah, franchise FC.
but they are weird because I saw Rosa saying in the chat that a squad like that, they've signed a bunch of WSL players.
Yeah,
they've got
yes.
Finnish international Lotta Lindström, who they signed in January, who's played for Finland at the Euros. Meg Campbell, bunch of New Zealand internationals, bunch of Canadians. They've thrown money at it.
Do you know what it is though, mate? They've signed all these players, but then got rid of players who've gone to other clubs who have played really, really well. You look at Atlanta Primus, for example. Katie Kitchen's come to Sunderland. She couldn't get a game for London last year, and Katie Kitchen's been our outstanding player of the season. Now plays for New Zealand. Now is an international player thanks to a season at Sunderland. So they've probably got rid of better players than what they've brought in.
Yeah,
and it's that huge concern, isn't it? Good players don't make good teams, do they?
They've gone for the names because they signed like Danielle Carter, for example, from Reading, and they signed a bunch of players who they thought people who'd watched the WSL for a while would kind of go, or watched women's football for a while would go, oh, this lot are serious. But they're not. They're just, it's a soulless shell of a club. And it would probably be the best thing, certainly for the championship, if they actually went down.
I think like a lot of fans in the championship, would rather see them go down than the likes of Lewis and Watford, to be honest. So I think Lewis have give you that that personality of a club. Plus, I think Watford have been unlucky this year with losing Madjamang for a long time. Now she's come back and they seem to be banging the goals in, and they've got they've got Carly Johns, who's still one of the top scorers in the league. You know what I mean? They're near the bottom of the table, so they've got something about them. Whereas London City is like, what are you? You know what I mean?
Karma owes Watford as well, and I say that as the person who saw Coventry put them down and that amazing great escape. I think the way everyone at that club reacted to that, and the grace and the politeness with which they treated everyone at Coventry, for that, they deserve good things.
Yeah,
I've got a soft spot for Watford when they come back up. They deserve good things.
Yeah, I think Aishimang is going to keep. We haven't got Aishimang corner this week, but I think she's going to keep him up pretty much single-handedly. Obviously, like they've both got games in hand as well on them, haven't they? Like Lewis and Watford have got both a game in hand on London City. It's going to be so close at the top and the bottom.
Yeah, just very quickly in the chat, I know Rosa Talkspall's put on about Newcastle and Portsmouth. They do both go up now, because there's two that goes down from the championship. So, which, is the argument to have, should it be for the WSL as well? Should it be 2 and 2? But yeah, so Portsmouth and Newcastle are top of their leagues by quite a little way now. And quite funny enough, play each other in the League Cup on Sunday at St James's Park. So that's going to be a cracking game, to be fair. And that'll show where both teams are, I think, as of if they want to be, if they want to, hit the championship, and hit it well. We all know what Newcastle are going to do when they get in the championship. They're going to try and bar their way out of it. But Portsmouth, who have been a good team for a little while now, and I think they've been unlucky for the last couple of years, but they've really done well in that league, considering #United's in it, and #United doing what they're doing. Really good to see Portsmouth. And I think that'll be a good game. I'm not going to it because I can't bring myself to go to St James's Park, but even though there's nothing else on this weekend, because Sunderland #23s has been called off, so I might go to Spenny. Spenny at home, Chris, by any chance? I might go and watch you guys, see what happens.
No, I think that the championship is going to be really, really interesting next season. I really can't wait for it. So yes, all going on in those now. Birmingham 1, Southampton 2. So with this one, I think Southampton just really proved that. Well, we'll have a look at the table in a minute, but yeah, there's that many teams pushing for that promotion spot. Paul, what did you think about this one? Did Southampton really get the better of Birmingham to deserve the 3?
Yes, because
moving on.
like Ant said about Birmingham, they it's interesting. Rosa picked them out in the chat and said that Birmingham were the only team who could cope, or probably the only team who could cope, because Southampton have really built something. And I think if Southampton somehow make their way into the top division, I think their owners will throw money at it.
Yeah.
Like they'll properly. Then, Bristol didn't turn up just to make up the numbers, but Southampton are like, right, we're staying here. This was the plan. We've done the meteoric rise. We're staying here. And because on the South Coast, they've got that lifestyle that they can sell to players. If you're by the seaside, you're in a fairly affluent part of the world. You're playing at St Mary's in front of 2,000-3,000 people a week, which for the women's game is pretty decent. And that will only grow with the amount of effort Southampton put into their women's team. They've really gone for it. You've got an England legend coaching in Marianne Spacey-Cale as well. there's so many pull factors there that Southampton can use.
Yeah.
And, you know, I wish Katie Wilkins had been this deadly for Coventry. Like, she's a very good striker, and she was top scorer in the Championship 2 seasons in a row. But she just has that knack of finding goals for Southampton when they need it. And she did so again on Sunday. And Molly Pike as well.
That's a great goal. Great goal, isn't it?
They've got a real foundation, Southampton, that I don't think Birmingham have. Like, we all know the past issues with Birmingham. Darren Carter, I am not massively convinced about as a manager. Like, I'm not in a, you know, there's no such thing as Carter ball. You know, don't worry, there's nothing like that. I think he has had more result. He's had all those resources at Birmingham and all the players that he's brought in, and still not being where he's being. You know, still not being top of the table. And Birmingham have really, really gone for it. And Southampton just have this knack of getting points. I don't know whether it'll be enough to take them up. If it was a 2 double promotion, I think Southampton would be a good bet to be the second team to go up. I'm not sure they're going to be. I'm not sure they might be title winners, but they'd be a very good bet to be second team to go up.
The bother is with Southampton this season is they've won the games where you would think, right, because I thought Birmingham would beat them on Sunday. They've won them games, but then when they've come to play like we beat them at their ground earlier on in the season, when they've come to the games where you expect them to win, is the games where they throw it away. They came up to Durham and got, like, it was probably Durham's best performance of the season, but they were terrible. And the next game that they play is away to Sunderland, which, you know, obviously we beat them down at their place, but then in the FA Cup, they came up and did I thought they put on a really good performance against us. Though we probably dominated the game. Katie Wilkinson, you know, scored 2 goals. And she is probably the best poacher in this league. But it'll be interesting that, because if we beat them, I would say that's them done. Because I don't think they'll pull like 4 points back. So that's going to be game of the week, that, to be honest. But I've just got a sneaky suspicion we'll do it, because it's that consistency that they're lacking. You know, where they go in thinking we'll win this one, they don't. So it'll be an interesting game, that, I think. But if they don't go up this year, they would probably be my favourites next year, to be honest.
Yeah, because I think next year will be the, you know, they were rumoured 2 years ago to have the biggest budget in the Championship. You know, comparable to some WSL teams, and I would imagine that's only going to get bigger. And you know, they're really doing something down there with St Mary's and building a community.
Yeah.
And I think
I've got to say their fans are tremendous as well. You know, when they came up, apart from they had the drum of Jumanji going through the ears every for 90 minutes. But all that, they were absolutely fantastic. And I know a couple of them, you know, obviously with the away pod, you know, got, you know, really good, like, say, good friends with a couple of them, and they're just the proper nice, decent people. So fair play to them. If it's, I always say if it's not us, it's them. But I also hope Palace go up as well. So I'm stuck. But it is what it is, isn't it? But yeah, fair play to them. I think they've done it properly, though, haven't they? They've done it the right way, where they've come in, they've let the youth develop as well. So they've got some very good young players, but they have bought exceptionally well. You know, the players where they've needed in, they've done that. They've done that really well with Pike and, as you mentioned before, with Katie Wilkinson.
They've done what the media want to think Newcastle have done.
Yeah, but Newcastle won't do that.
Yeah, we'll be. I have thoughts on Newcastle. We got 2 Sunderland fans in here. There's Danny as well. We could. I did see the Athletic this week got another puff piece on Newcastle women. They did one of the inside Newcastle women, and it was all about how they've all come from nothing and salt of the earth, local lasses, and all that sort of stuff. And Amanda Staveley talking about. And you look at it and go, yeah, this is a PR job. And I feel bad saying that, because one of former Coventry player, one of my favourite former Coventry players, Jodie Barclays, up there and doing well. But you just can't ignore the circumstances around the club.
Yeah. It is a conversation for another time, isn't it? But it's that one where, because I think it is going to happen now. You know, I can't see them throwing that lead away. So it is a conversation we are going to have very, very soon. But you know, we still beat them 4-2 this year and then pre-season friendly when all their fans came for the big day out and lost. So and then Kelly got sent off, so it was just brilliant all around, to be honest. But yeah, it's that one where you just, I'm not just saying this as a Sunderland fan as well. It's that one where you just want to see it done properly. You don't want another Manchester United, you know, and this is no disrespect to Manchester United, but you don't want that to happen. You want teams to go up because they deserve to go up. And I don't think that'll happen. I think Newcastle will, just literally, because they've got this, we want to be in the Champions League in 5 years' time, dream thing, like it's a dream scenario, which I still don't think will happen. But it's one of them ones where, yeah, it's like, I still don't think it'll happen because the WSL is just that competitive now, especially with the top three. But it's sort of next year, are they going to try and buy, like, you know, as a Sunderland fan, they're going to try and buy our best players. I don't think many of them will go, but we've got young lasses who play for us who are Newcastle fans. So how do you step in? How do you say, why no? You know what I mean? You can't. So it's just one of them things. And as I said before, I think a lot of players from Durham might get interested with the money that goes there because they can afford to give, you know, without getting into details of how much they're paying players. I mean, I know one of the players who plays them now is actually not getting that much for a game, but she's 19-year-old and she's on more money than what I'm on. You know what I mean? And it's like, there you go. You know what I mean? It sorts you out for life, doesn't it?
Cara Milne-Redhead, when she moved up last year, and I know this because she played for Coventry, she could not get into the Coventry United squad, and everyone who had to watch Coventry United remembers how bad they were that last year and how stretched the squad was. She moved up there, fully paid housing, 25 grand a year.
Yeah. There's a couple of players they've bought. They bought like I think they bought they put somebody through. I think they bought somebody's mortgage for one of them, and they put somebody through something or other that they were trying to go through, like some badges. I think it was coaching badges, paid all that, and it's like, well, there you go. You know what I mean? I can see signing like someone like Alicia Body, who could have been playing, probably would have got a game for Bristol City this season. Yeah. When 2 divisions down, you're like, right, well, you know what that's for, but. I don't want this to talk about. I don't want this to sound, you know, like bitter or anything like that. But it's not for me.
Another reason why you need perhaps wage caps and things like that to stop stuff like that happening.
It'd be interesting if there was an FFP for women's football, wouldn't there? It would be interesting.
Funny you should say that. In that article, they were talking about signing players, and they talked about Paige Bailey-Gale moving from Crystal Palace.
Mm-hmm.
She's got 4 in 3 for them or something like that. And Becky Langley openly said, or it was either Becky Langley or Amanda Staveley, one of the two, just basically said, well, we can do this. There's no financial fair play in women's football, so it's great. We can do what we want. You know, like when you're openly saying stuff like that, it's not right for me. Yeah. It just rings really hollow.
Yeah. And the bother is as well, like going back, they've got a lot of local lasses there who, you know, love the club. You know, I'll say Katie Barker for one. I mean, as much as I don't particularly care for Newcastle, I really like Katie Barker as a footballer and a person, because she was at Sunderland a few years ago. Really, really nice girl. You know, as a dream is to play for, as dreams always been to play for Newcastle, Newcastle fan. She's going to get nowhere near that team if they're going to be in, you know, the WSL. It's like, so. Why are you kind of like, you know, putting things on to my club, this, that, and the other, when you just know that's not going to be the case in a couple of years' time? And where do these players go from there? You know what I mean? And that's the worrying thing. Like, where do they go? Where does a Katie Barker go if she doesn't get a game for Newcastle? Where does the local lasses go? They've just gave one Daisy Burt, who again another Newcastle fan, was Sunderland RTC. You know, played a lot for them last season to get them promoted. Did a really, really good job. Really nice girl as well. You know, proper football fan. Got on loan to Borough because she can't get a game. It's like so. It's like kind of using it, and I don't like it at all, to be honest. But again, a conversation for another time.
No, it's hard. It really is hard. And like Spenny Frank Chris just put, with everything to play for, you want the right people to be in the running, and you want to be able to get behind them. And yeah, being a couple of points in it is just absolutely madness. Thank you to everyone in the chat, by the way. It's going absolutely off, and I love how everyone's making plans to go to all these games. It's absolutely brilliant. And hello to Lottie, who's just joined in. Thank you very much for joining us. And then we have one final game of the championship, which was a bit of a demolition job, Danny.
It was
4-0. But yeah, Palace were just completely in charge, weren't they, on this one?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I almost think the game against Chelsea helped them last week. So they had to play so differently to how they usually play. They usually really gung-ho. Everyone's expressing themselves. It's power forward like we know Palace do, and they score so many goals. Against Chelsea, they obviously have to sit back. They have to play a completely different way, and it almost felt like it rested their legs a little bit and gave them a little bit of discipline in terms of defensive wise to come to really attack this last little patch of games now, and go back to the way they're playing. Because they rested the likes of Blanchard and Izzy Atkinson last week, and I was a bit surprised by that, as I thought, give it a go, but actually, I think it's ended up helping them because they've come back into this game against Blackburn and absolutely mullered them. Poor old Blackburn. They didn't play that badly. I don't think it was particularly a 4-0 game, but the way Palace came into it, it's almost like, right, we're on it from the start, because they've gone a goal down to Blackburn in the FA Cup a few weeks ago, almost went out until they've turned it around. And so it almost felt like from the start they've got to be on it, they've got to be straight in it, and they did. Like, to pair fullbacks like Rhea Percival, Felicity Gibbons powering forward, real good balance to the team. They almost reminded me of a championship version of what Man City are, in terms of they've got that structure, but they just go. There's no holding back once they go. They're a little bit more off the leash than City are, I guess, but yeah, really, really good play. The nice first goal, Blanchard with a header from a Molly May Sharp cross. And then it's only 1-0 at half time. Blackburn think, hold on and see if you can get something. But it was just complete domination from Palace. I didn't see a lot from Blackburn in terms of an attacking play. You talk about Jumanjian, by the way, earlier. I've dropped in Jumanji in my notes as well, because there was a 5-minute period in the second half where it just absolutely bucketed down. It's like someone summoned something, and there was just buckets and buckets of rain for about 5 minutes, and then it stopped. Didn't make
it's a pity they weren't playing Southampton, Danny, because they would have had the drums to match it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, 2-0 soon after half time, and then they were pretty much in control for the most part for the game. As I say, they've sealed it late on. Chloe Arthur, Sinead Hopcroft with the late goals, and they're right in it. The way they play, they've scored 43 goals for the season. I think they scored 28 in the entirety of last season as well, which just shows how much they've done. They're far away. I think that Southampton are maybe second in the goal scoring with 28 as well. And they're just overrunning teams, and they give themselves a chance in every game. This is what I love about Palace. They'll just go and go and go. And they've just been, like Laura Kaminsky, the job she's done there since joining sort of, I think it was last summer. Such a fantastic sort of taking on of a club. Like, they were in a good position already, but that she's taken them on and she's made them into a phenomenal side. And if they win their game in hand, they'll be top. But I think there's a lot more twists and turns. It's not quite as simple as that. But they'll just give anybody a game. I think, looking at the stats from the game, 14 shots inside the box for Palace compared to Blackburn's 1. Blackburn will be slightly disappointed with that, but they just couldn't compete with it on the day. And I just see Palace as being one of these teams. You had talked about it earlier about going into the WSL. They look like a team that would be ready for it. If I'm honest, they'll look like if they keep all the players together, keep them fit, add to the squad, they would be, I think, ready for the WSL. And that I had them down as my pick when we made predictions, and I'm sticking with it because I think they've got a lot of talent, so much talent going forward.
Absolutely. And to think, like you mentioned against Chelsea, they held Chelsea right till, what was it, the 88th minute or something like that. So you think if any team's ready for it, they're really showing it. Now, I was just looking there at the top scorers in the championship, as you were mentioning it. Yeah, 4 Palace players are in the top 10. It's just absolutely mental. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what the end of this championship looks like. Because as we look at the table, we've got, look at that right at the top, Sunderland on 31, Charlton 30, Southampton 30, Charlton 30. And again, we've still got games in hand throughout that table as well. Watford and Lewis right at the bottom with 10 and 12 points respectively. London City 13, Reading 15. What do we reckon? It's looking more likely that those maybe bottom 4 might get drawn into that battle, but it's not set in stone, is it?
No, I would
those games in hand.
Yeah, Reading have got three on London, haven't they? I think it's 2 of them bottom 3. So the worrying thing is, I just said before, I want Watford and Lewis to steal, but I kind of think of another team that's going to get brought down there. We all probably, for reasons that we won't say, want Sheffield United to go down, but I don't know. I think it's just going to be just as exciting. I think both the promotion and relegation, questions won't be answered until the last game of the season. I think it's all going to go down the final day.
Yeah, that last day as well. Charlton at home to Southampton, Crystal Palace at home to Sunderland.
Yeah,
it's just going to be carnage.
Yeah.
And
we'll have to do a live show
we mentioned, we mentioned a couple of weeks ago as well, London City facing Lewis on the last day, which is just the battle of the team that we just despise against the battle of the team we want to stay up. Birmingham go to Durham. I mean, it could be an absolute chaos final day of the season on there.
And I mean, it's not that far away as well. You know what I mean? Like looking at that, we've got 6 games left, and the season's flown over. Like you were literally you got a Christmas thing on. We're halfway done now. We're in March. It's mad. It's been class. I mean, such an exciting for once as well. There hasn't been a team who's ran away with it. Like Liverpool did a couple of years ago. Charlton, Bristol up until the last month or so, but then just left the foot off the gas a little bit. But like I said, to go into March and have 5 realistically, definitely 4, probably Birmingham for them in the game, and 5 realistic chances of promotion. And 3 to 4 realistic chances of going down. There's only really Durham and Blackburn there who you could say are probably on the beach now. Everybody else has got something to play for. So there's 10 teams out of 12 who've got something to play for going into the last 6 games of the season. You know what I mean? It's class. The championship's so good this season.
It's brilliant. It really is. So if you have just been watching the WSL to this point, you get yourself to the championship, and you're absolutely right, everyone in the chat. The second should be Crystal Palace. It absolutely should be.
They've disappeared.
So 2 Charltons are coming together.
That would make things so much more easier for a Sunderland fan.
Crystal Palace just ran off attacking.
They've gone.
They've ran off.
They've gone. But yeah, thank you to everyone in the chat. Now that brings us to the end of the weekend's football. So we just wanted to quickly go over some things before we go. The Lionesses, they are back. It's international break coming up. Now we've had a couple of, I don't want to say issues, but of course Leah Williamson has had to withdraw from the squad due to, there was a minor hamstring injury. It was announced, and I think she did, I don't know if anyone saw, it was a little piece before the Arsenal match, I think it was in the programme, and she said, these things have to be like staggered returns for a reason, because these things do happen. And I think Paul, we were talking the other day, wasn't it, about with ACLs when they do the reconstruction surgery, it's sometimes a bit the hamstring, it's sometimes different bits. So actually, it's learning to retrain and strengthen all of those muscles in your legs, because this could keep turning into a recurring injury, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I would be watching her hamstring very closely, or Leah Williamson's injury future. You can have injury history, so you can have injury future, surely.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
You can watch her injury future very closely, because Arsenal do not have the best record of managing their players injury-wise, with all the ACLs they had last season. And they're going to be playing. Williamson is an everyday player, isn't she? She's going to be playing a ridiculous amount of minutes. And you talked earlier on about how the top teams go from 2,000 minutes a season to 4,000 minutes a season. And Williamson is probably going to play 2,500, 3,000 of those if she's fully fit.
Yeah.
And I suppose the question is, can her body stand up to that when it's had a reconstructed ATL? Because they're desperately wanting to rush her back in, and you get the one thing I suppose that is interesting is I think there is a thing more so in women's football than men's football. And I don't know whether this is because a lot of the fan base are newer, whether because they don't think about it the same way. Because we've all come from men's football as well. So we might look at, and a lot of the people in the chat have come from men's football. So when we were talking about Carolina Olsen's injury earlier and talking about potential looking forward for that, we know what needs doing with that. But I think with women's football, there's a lot of people going, oh, why can't Leah play at a sold out Emirates? Why, they've left her out. That's really cruel. Why can't they make her play? And it's almost as if people, it's good that she wrote that thing in the program, because it's almost as if people don't understand that, playing elite level sport, these injuries are not when you recovered.
Yeah, it's not an overnight magic fix, is it? It's a long process back. And some players have been out 2 years plus, haven't they? Due to level of care, aftercare, rehab, things like that. And it's a shame, of course it is, because we want her back, but no one would ever wish her back for the detriment of her health and her future, because she is in her prime, isn't she? But for the actual camp, I was surprised that, I say surprised, I wasn't. Serena doesn't really change her mind very much, does she? But I would have hoped to see some different names in there, especially because they're friendlies, especially because I don't know if she had a cap on the numbers she could take for this time round, but it's against Austria and Italy, so two fairly decent teams. And I don't know, Danny, was there anyone that you would have really liked to have seen actually included in that squad that wasn't?
Yeah, I think Nikita Paris is the obvious one you think of for what she's been doing for Man United, we talked about Mark Skidder getting out of a hole, but she's been dragging him kind of out of holes for the last few weeks now. The way she's been playing as a centre forward as well, I feel like it's worth trying at the moment, because you've got the likes of Leslie Russo and Rachel Daly who have not been on as good form as they have been. Serena, she's very similar to Gareth Southgate in what she does in terms of her favourites. She seems to have favourites, and you've got to trust her at this point, because who wouldn't trust Serena Wiegman at this point? But I just feel like this is a camp in particular where there's nothing coming up in the summer. You've got nothing to build towards. You've got to give a chance and try something different. And Paris in particular, she's been doing so well as that central striker that I just think it's worth bringing her in and giving it a go and seeing what happens, because she's a very different type of player to the other two. And I just think it would have been worth it for this one. This is the ideal time to do it and to try a few things.
Absolutely, yeah. And I was going to mention that Roses beat me to it there. The under-23s are also out in Spain, and it was really nice to see. It was Naomi from Bristol City. She got a call up to train with the seniors today, which is brilliant. But you look at the youngsters in the under-23s and you think how bright the future of this English football squad is. And is there anyone that stands out to you kind of coming through? I know we've talked about kind of some of the young Sunderland players we've got and things like that, but is there anyone you're excited to see kind of in the future maybe get into the senior team?
I'll just have a look at the squad because I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, no worries,
but obviously for the under-18s, I've mentioned it before, but Poppy Pritchard's really somebody to watch. Who was at Durham this year, signed for Man City. Really, really good at tapping winger. And it was a little bit disappointed Sunderland didn't sign her a couple of years ago because she was at Sunderland's regional talent centre. But we signed Katie Watson instead. To be fair, Katie Watson's unbelievable. That's it. I'm just bringing the squad up. But to be fair, and I think Paul's mentioned this at some point in the season as well, where's Annabella Blanchard in any of these squads? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, she is absolutely smashing it in the championship this year. And I really think a lot of her. I think she's a fantastic footballer. but it seems that she always seems to miss out. You know, looking at the forwards in the U23s, obviously, you know, Aggie Beaver, Jones, Missy Goodwin, great players, but they're all from the WSL, you know, and Annabella Blanchard's been smashing it. So would like to see her giving a go. But nice to see Molly Pike in there. Molly Pike's a really good player as well. But she's a bit of it. We mentioned shithouse before. She likes to get involved. Like Poppy Patterson, obviously, I like her. Yeah, but no Neve Herron either. I think Neve Herron's probably good enough to get in that defence. So
yeah, John's with you on that one. Thank you, John. Yeah, Neve again, and like we said, it's the type of, you know, it's the time to just give these even fringe players a chance. Like the players like Maz Pacheco, for example, who, you know, was in the England youth setup, but just hasn't crossed yet to that senior level. You know, give her a chance, put her in. You know, her work rate is phenomenal, and you just think maybe bringing those players in would give maybe the core members maybe a bit of a run for their money and a bit more of a push, and a bit of a, you know, your place is not, you know, signed in stone. You know, you hopefully can be rotated out, and there's pressure on it for that one. And I really hope Kiara Keaton, Hannah Hampton, I really hope they get a chance, because I think we've mentioned before, kind of Mary Earps, usually in like the League Cups and things like that, you put your second goalkeeper in and that kind of thing. But she's been playing the majority of them, hasn't she? So even for her, a break would be welcome, but also to show that we're not 100% reliant on her. As fantastic as she is, you know, we've got more talent in there, and we're better kind of together.
Especially in friendlies, Free, you know, because we all know how good Mary Earps is. She's the best goalkeeper in the world, right? But you know, Hannah Hampton's, you know, a couple of years ago was the up and coming young goalkeeper, wasn't she? Everyone was going on about it. So she went to Chelsea now. And mentioned Kiara Keaton as well. I mean, you know, Kiara Keaton's just rose from nothing, hasn't she? You know, she was in the Championship last year on loan at Coventry. You know, she got injured, Paul, didn't she? And then, you know, and she's just been phenomenal for City. So give them a go. I would give one of them one game, one of them the other, because we know how good Mary Earps is. We know how, even, you know, the likes of, I know Meadows coming back, but we know how good these players are. And the only way these young players are going to be ready for international football is by giving them international games, you know. So, you know, especially when in friendlies like this, it always flummoxes with the men's and with the women's game why they don't just give youth a go. But again, and Rose has just mentioned in the chat there, Mia Enderby is a phenomenal talent. Yes, she is. What a footballer she is, man. Fantastic player.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we should go out and be in charge. We'll sit with Serena and go, right, okay, these are the players that we needed.
You would not want me in charge. Look how I celebrated Sunderland's goal. I'd be like, if England scored a winner in the World Cup final, I'll be in the stands.
I did see Josh drop me in it earlier on when we were talking about players, and he said Paul's talking about conspiracy theories. I think that was when I was talking about refereeing. I have conspiracy theories about the England squad as well. You know,
of course you do. Yeah,
I'm full on lone gunman here. I've got all the blackboards with like all the little bits of thread linked to different things. But I think there is unspoken pressure, and I don't think Serena is bowing to it. I don't think she's the type of player who would. But I think there's an awareness in the England setup. You don't sit the golden geese, as it were. You know, all the big names have to be in the squad. There are some players in the England squad who I think are seen as undroppable, and I think that shouldn't be the case. I think Mary Earps is probably one of those. And like you say, I'd love to see Kiara Keating play. I'd love to see Hannah Hampton play. I think the current strikers are probably another one. You know, if you ask about under 23s, I want to see, and this is where I get to represent Coventry. There you go, Shannon. Absolutely, because I saw stats. She's got the most tackles in the WSL this season. Her work, like you say, her on one side, Maz Pacheco on the other, and
what a squad!
You'd not have any hard-working pair of fullbacks. They'd have, and yeah, I'm not saying they should replace Niamh Charles or Lucy Bronze or whoever in tournaments, but in friendlies, give them a chance.
Mm-hmm.
But there's possibly a slight awareness. Your casual fan doesn't turn up to see Shannon O'Brien or Maz Pacheco. Your casual fan turns up expecting to see Leslie Russo. Your casual fan turns up expecting to see Mary Earps in goal.
Yeah.
Your casual lioness, you see with the surprise from a lot of people of Kiara Keating and Grace Clinton this season turning up and everyone going, where did they come from? Anyone who watches the championship knows where they come from.
It's like, this has been a long time coming. Yeah.
I think this is almost a coverage thing again. And there's just, hopefully we're doing our part by saying, watch the championship because it's a effing amazing league. And it's the breeding ground of all of these players. Shannon O'Brien developed in the championship. Beth Mead developed initially in WSL 2 with Sunderland before going up. I might have my timeline slightly wrong, but I'm sure she developed initially in WSL 2. So feel free to correct me if I'm a bit off with that one.
Yeah.
Annabelle Blanchard, I'm glad I mentioned her. I was almost fist pumped seeing that one because she's an amazing player. And yeah, I don't even think how Nikita Paris didn't get in this squad. I mean, you saw some of the journalists, and I think there is a bit of a contribution in it because journalists have to be careful, but they're saying things like, "Oh, you can't really make a case for dropping anyone in the squad." I can make a case for dropping Russo all day for a friendly.
But also for a friendly, you don't have to drop everyone. Just take them, put them on the plane. You can afford it. Take them with you.
It's like they're going to benefit from the experience as well, aren't they, of having them players around? Just like.
Yeah.
And especially, as we just said there, the two friendlies, why not just take a couple of players from the championship just to give them that experience of going away with England? It's
levels of training, levels of getting to this is where you need to be if you want to cut it with the Lionesses senior squad. But might have a chance to.
We've mentioned as well, was it the 4,000 minutes from 2,000 minutes or something? So that's extra. Extra 90, 180 minutes for some of these players. And what happens if one of them, say Lauren James, for instance, plays both games, gets injured, there's Chelsea's season done because they've already got, Sam Kerr out and, with an ACL or whatever. And if she gets injured, it's Chelsea's season done. You know what I mean? And it doesn't make sense for me. And, you know what these players are like. You know the top quality world-class footballers. But they're playing in friendlies. It doesn't make sense. It just actually doesn't make sense having friendlies at this point of the season. I think it's just stupid. But that's for both sides. That's for the men's side and the women's side. You get them all out the way at the start. Yeah.
Do you guys think there's too much emphasis on the international game in terms of English football marketing as well? There's almost, and FIFA in general. There's almost. The club game drives the international game. The club game drives everything. And like you say, Anne, if Lauren James gets injured at a meaningless friendly, there's going to be many, many people around the world. I'd imagine Emma Hayes will probably have an opinion.
Yeah.
Emma Hayes said as well, though, didn't she? She was like, the injuries that the players are getting are between international breaks. And it's because of the traveling. When you look at the Australian team, the miles they put in, and then the actual different workloads, the different, recovery, just everything is so different, and it needs streamlining. And that's that massive issue because me officials just done a ACL, and you just think, what more does it take? What does it need to happen for just more to go into it? Because I know some people are looking into it, aren't they? Like what they can help. But you think Emma Hayes is so on it, and she's been talking about this for years. And it's finally happened to two of her Chelsea players in quite quick succession. And you just think, what is the future women's football going to look like? And again, I think it was Leah Williamson. It was someone like that who said, well, actually, there's going to be no future in women's football because everyone's going to be injured.
Everyone's going to be knackered,
Yeah.
I think Jedediah hit the nail on the head for him on Monday, on Sunday, sorry, on the championship television program that was on the FA player. That you look at both leagues as well. Like in the championship, we've got obviously the big promotion push, the relegation push, and even in WSL, the title race has been blown wide open, and now we have to wait another 2 weeks to watch it again. It's so exciting at the minute. We had such an exciting week just gone in both divisions, and now we've got to wait another 2 weeks, and it just doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't.
I think the England game, it seems to have just been shoehorned in because of the Nations League, doesn't it? Like that was probably the plan to get into the Nations League semi-finals and to be involved in that at this time. And it feels like because we're not in that, we've got to have some sort of international break and play these games. But ideal world we're in that, and it's competitive and it means something. But at the moment, I think you've got to look at these two games and think, you've got to use it to try players out. Otherwise, it feels pointless. Like Jess Park, honestly, Jess Park play a part. Honestly, Grace Clinton get some minutes. Otherwise, you're just seeing the same old routine. You're not learning anything, are you?
And that's the thing, if you're just doing the same thing again and again and again, it's a bit like Blackadder goes fourth, isn't it? Oh,
Yes.
something again, because I won't expect it.
It's the first time Blackadder goes fourth that probably ever has been mentioned, never will be mentioned in a football podcast. Really enjoyed that.
Watching, I can come out with some corkers.
I can get some obscure references in. If you want pop culture references.
I think we should have a game of bingo ourselves, shouldn't we? Right, what can we mention?
Sneak in. I've got Jumanji in there twice today.
Yeah.
Double Jumanji. Well, with I was having a look at our stats, Lionesses stats against Austria and Italy. We have won, I think, all matches against Austria previously, but especially the last 5, we definitely have, all quite high score lines. And against Italy, we've won 3 out of our last 5. So if we play like we have been playing, especially that last game against Scotland where we really went for it, I think, again, it's a friendly, so fingers crossed, they don't go too far and get injured. But I think we've got we've got a good chance of coming out with hopefully some really good connections, really strong connections to take us into the next lot of internationals. But yeah, do we think we're going to do all right in the end against Austria and Italy? Anyone?
Probably. I don't really care. But yeah, they'll be all right, won't they? I would imagine 2 wins.
Yeah, I've got my Martina Piemonte shirt ready to put on. I love that Italian away kit. It's absolutely beautiful with the marble on it. So that brings us to the end of this pod. Thank you so much to everyone who's been interacting. It's been absolutely amazing. And just in case you want to follow more Absolute Football, we are across all social media platforms, various iterations of at Absolute Ball Pod on Twitter. We are Absolute Football Podcast _ on Instagram, Absolute Football Pod on TikTok, and the Absolute Football Podcast on Facebook, as well as on Twitch and YouTube as well. So if you haven't liked, subscribed, followed, anything that you need to do, please do so. And we will be back again next week. So Danny, thank you very much for joining us. If people want to follow you, where can they find you?
I'm at Danny Brothers on X/Twitter/ all the other things. I think Danny the Brothers on Instagram, if anyone's got Instagram, but no, apart from that, yeah. And the podcast is at Cobblers to Me, if you just so happen to be wanting to follow with the fortunes of Northampton Town men and women play every week. But yeah, other than that, just the personal one.
Perfect. And Paul, where can people find your conspiracy theories if they would like to join in?
You can find them at Paul W Radio down there. On Twitter, and as well as conspiracy theories, I'll also probably yell about football in general. And I saw Shah sent a message in, so up Rochdale, and hopefully they can be saved as well. Yeah. I'm sure that's
save Rochdale.
Yes.
Best away day I've ever been on that. Best away day. You can find me if I'm not running around Appleton Quality Welfare like a madman. I'm at @_Waterson. That's my personal Twitter, X, whatever it is. And also I am part of the How Are the Lasses podcast, which is at How Are Pod, which also has the wonderful host Freya as well. So there we go. So give us a follow, give us a like, even if you don't like Sunderland, we'll talk about something else. But yeah, thanks so much. And like I say, hashtag Save Rochdale.
Absolutely. And a big thank you from me as well. So if you want to follow me, I'm at TFreyaTWrites, or me and Lindsay have the whole 115 yards across all socials. So give us a like and a follow for more football madness, particularly Villa and Sunderland, as you can see in the background. So yes, we will be back next Wednesday at 8:30. Please do come and join us. Get your notifications on so you don't miss a thing. So thank you very much. Good night, everyone. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah.